Hey guys, Addy here. Welcome back to part 2. I'd say round 2, but I have a higher standard for jokes on this channel.
Now, before we start, let's take 10 seconds to recap everything we discussed in part 1. Now, no one's confused and we're all on the same page.
I don't want to go into detail on the points I brought up in part 1 or how I accidentally uploaded the video with a typo so that for 2 hours it said Mortal Kombat instead of Combat. We talked about the early games, the 1995 film, and Mortal Kombat Annihilation. We have 2 franchise entries to go over this time, so stick around, it's going to get weird. Let's sidestep from the movies real quick to talk about arguably the most successful adaptation of the bunch, Mortal Kombat Legacy. Don't pop the champagne just yet, we still have some issues. The year is 2011. Mortal Kombat has been on life support in the on-screen realm and has been doing its best to stay alive in the gaming realm. You get it? Realm, because I'll admit, I was worried going into this series. Was it because it was created by the guy who directed Glee, the 3D concert movie? Not really. I mean, if George Miller can swing from Mad Max to Babe Pig in the City, anything's possible, right? No, what concerned me was that the show had a concept video. 1 year earlier, an 8-minute short called Mortal Kombat Rebirth was released. And it's fine? It rethinks the MK world to be more in line with something like Dread. Crime is high, psychopaths are everywhere, and police ethics are questionable. Instead of special powers and realms, we get franchise characters reimagined as weird serial killers. Reptile is a codename given to a cannibal, Baraka is a codename given to a serial killer who subscribes to Cinnabite Monthly, and Johnny Cage is already dead because screw him, I guess. It's an interesting change of pace and shot like a deleted scene from 7 with Shang Tsung hosting some sort of illegal underground fighting tournament called Mortal Kombat. It came out in that weird time period after The Dark Knight, where everyone saw how successful a more grounded and darker version of Batman was, then tried to apply that gritty realism to everything without thinking whether or not it made sense for that specific property. It's mostly fine, but people checking into a Thunderdome-style arena giving out names like Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and Reptile, it kind of comes off like...
What's the fighter's name?
Clown Baby.
Clown Baby?
Yeah.
You mean like a baby clown?
Codename Reptile.
It's like a baby. It's like a clown that
Dude.
is a baby.
Codename Baraka.
You said baby
Dude,
clown.
I don't
I'm
even
saying,
care.
Yep.
Thankfully, most of these ideas were dropped along with the film school color grade. The actual show that would come from this would be called Mortal Kombat Legacy. It would bring back supernatural abilities, realms, and actually end up being kind of decent. There's technically 2 seasons, but most episodes run about 10 minutes, so you can knock out the whole thing in 3 hours. And the episode titles? Absolute gold. The cause of Liu Kang's fall is revealed. Scorpion and Sub-Zero form a truce. Kenshi's origin story begins. It's like they took a page from the show Friends, you know, the whole the one-where format, but with more fatalities and less coffee shop drama.
No one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke, you broke.
Okay, no, Trevor, it's not gonna work. We already did the Always Sunny thing. We can't do Friends in the same video. Cut that. I wouldn't say this series dives into character backstories, but it at least chucks a stone across the pond. Johnny Cage is a former Power Ranger this time around, which, sure, why not? He's played by Chris Redfield in Season 1 and Johnny Rico in Season 2. The cast consistency is all over the place. Even Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa from the 1995 film shows up for 30 seconds. Just enjoy it and don't think too hard. We're starting out with Jax and Sonya this time. According to Article 3, Section 8, it's actually illegal to introduce Sonya without having her fail to capture Kano. So here's that again too. One thing to understand about the show is that it doesn't strive to tell a cohesive narrative as much as it functions as a made-for-YouTube version of those text backgrounds you see during the Choose Your Fighter screen. Kano leading the Black Dragon clan? Check. Scorpion's family killed? Check. Outworld introduced? Check. Raiden crash lands at the psych ward and goes through counseling? Check. Wait, what? It's fun for nerds like me, but it's hard to recommend to anyone that's not already a fan of the games. But Addy, it's made for the fans. No, shut up. I find it hard to hate this series. It's clearly made by people that love the source material. It starts fine enough, and I can overlook the budget constraints, but unfortunately, we start seeing some cracks once we are introduced to the other realms and, as always, it's rushed and just feels like a vague retelling of the plot summary on Wikipedia. Things like the lifelong feud between Katana and Mileena are breezed through in a couple minutes. Katana is the daughter of Sindel, who's forcefully married to Shao Kahn. He then clones a daughter from Katana named Mileena, and she sure has a fun secret underneath that veil.
Would you like to know more?
Fuck that.
One thing to praise is that it employs some sick animated sequences that outshine the live-action stuff at times. Hell yes. Also, Sub-Zero throwing Scorpion through his mentor's frozen body is more metal than anything in either film. It allows me to overlook all the early video co-pilot effects,
Hey, what's up? Andrew Kramer here.
which is actually right on par for the series now that I think about it.
Hey, what's up? Andrew Kramer here. Hey, what's up? Andrew Kramer here. Hey, what's up? Andrew Kramer here.
And it gets something right that even the movies haven't accomplished. It picks a tone and relatively sticks to it. And is probably the most accurate portrayal of what's going on in the Mortal Kombat universe, besides just people getting punched in the face. I don't like how they're mispronouncing Sindel.
Queen Sindel and young Katana.
Unless I've been saying it wrong for 29 years. Has it been Sindel this whole time?
Shao Kahn took Queen Sindel as his wife.
Wait.
Queen Queen Sindel.
Whatever.
So you're just binging through these, enjoying the show, right? Then they drop this weird curveball on you. There's this underlying plot thread in the Mortal Kombat universe that the Lin Kuei are the best fighters on Earth, and this company wants to make them even better by turning them into robots. It's from the games, sure, but I've always thought this was less of a commentary about human identity versus machine, and more of an excuse to let players fight as cyborg ninjas, which, I mean, respect. I've never cared for the cyber stuff. It adds a ton of weird layers that wouldn't be seen until later games. If it's confusing, don't worry. They don't show up again. It's nice to see a lesser-known character like Kenshi get some love. Unfortunately, the tournament itself is the weakest part, which is portrayed as a random set of battle royale-style encounters. I know this is the budget again, but part of what made Mortal Kombat fun was that this interdimensional tournament was treated as a big sporting event. I mentioned this in part 1, but the crowd plays an important role in fighting movies and competition movies in general. This is where the side characters sit. We get to see them watch their loved ones emerge victorious or cry in fear as they don't. All this fun stuff adds to a more dynamic scene. So just having Mortal Kombat portrayed as R-rated Fortnite is kind of a letdown. Overall, it's a mixed bag. There's no real ending to the series, so I'm not going to try to write one for this portion of the video. The gaming side of the franchise finally did something smart in 2008, in that they stopped making them. No, really, they needed a break to regroup. They had been pumping out main games and spin-offs on a conveyor belt for the past decade, finally ending with the ability to pull off PG-13 fatalities on DC characters. Yay? But then something magical happened, something that brought the franchise roaring back to life at the perfect time. After a 3-year breather to figure out where the series should go, MK9 arrived, and suddenly Mortal Kombat was back in business with a new look and new engine. The series finally felt cool again, and I put an unhealthy amount of time into it. Statistically speaking, if you played MK9 online between 2011 and 2014, we've played at least 1.4 matches against each other. Of course, with the newfound popularity, Hollywood producers had to check their notes to see if they own the rights to make another movie. So we got another movie. Not a big movie, a modest one. Just enough to dip their toe in the shallow end of the pool to see if audiences were still interested in Mortal Kombat. So we got, well...
Throughout history, different cultures all over the world reference a great tournament.
Once again, we're reimagining events leading up to the tournament. Shang Tsung is up to his normal don't play by the rules angle. He saw how bad his plan went in the 95 film, so this time he wants to kill all of Earthrealm's fighters before the tournament even starts. It starts off fine. If you're gonna beat a dead horse over and over, it might as well be Scorpion's family being murdered. It's like watching Bruce Wayne's parents get gunned down for the 400th time. So Scorpion's family slides in nicely at number 2 on the Mount Rushmore of most common on-screen deaths. Anyway, the point of the sequence is that the fighter futurely known as Sub-Zero kills Scorpion. Scorps is off to the netherworld, Raiden saves his child that was hidden, and off we go. Let's hit an immediate issue. This fight, it looks kind of cool, right? The actors seem to understand the technique. There's some nice stunt work. I really wish I could have seen it more clearly, or this one in the UFC ring. When this movie was in development, I remember the onslaught of articles boasting about how they used real martial artists and how the actors did their own stunts. Awesome, right? The problem is that's only step 1 in making a good fight scene. Step 2 and 3 are having the direction to maximize it and the editing to highlight it, which we're lacking. I assume this editor fell victim to the classic fallacy of more cuts, more exciting. This will be an ongoing pattern moving forward. Remember when I praised Legacy for picking a tone and sticking to it? Well, we're back to basics here. We get dark and brooding, but also something that feels like a Jackie Chan adventure film. I don't know why the Forbidden Kingdom comes to mind. Maybe it's because the music is so generic and lame? I know it's a different era and we can't use the 90s techno again, but that's what it's gonna be compared to. I don't know. This just sounds like it was pulled from Artlist.io. Pause for an ad here in case they want to sponsor this video. This scene with Sub-Zero and Shang Tsung is your red flag for what kind of film you're about to sit through. Exposition heavy and rushed. Structure-wise, every scene in the first 17 minutes can function as the opening scene. The fun tease that grabs our attention before the movie actually kicks into gear and explains some things. But we never get the latter part. Protagonist-wise, we're ditching Liu Kang this time, which I'm not upset about. Liu is typically portrayed as a wet towel wrapped around a plank of wood that you're holding while watching paint dry. So I'm fine with them. Also, you're on Ambien. So I'm fine with them trying something new. In his place, we have an entirely original protagonist, Cole Fish Out of Water Young. He's a UFC fighter that never quite made it big and has peaked in a shady fighting league, basically a dead-end job where you also get your ass kicked. How quaint. He's got the iconic dragon birthmark, marking him as a champion chosen to defend Earthrealm in Mortal Kombat. Cool. Look, I have no problem with creating an original character if they put some effort into it, but, well, you'll see. It's a classic trope of a character who doesn't fully understand the world of Mortal Kombat. So we get to learn about it alongside him as a vessel for the audience. Great. Perfect. Sounds good. But wait, if that's all you're gonna use him for, why not Johnny Cage or Sonya or Jax or any Earthrealm Day player? Why add another character into the mix where there's clearly already going to be too many characters? Whatever, we give credit where it's due here, so I love the idea behind snow falling before Sub-Zero's arrival. Beautiful touch. But just like the other iterations, everything just feels so rushed. I have no investment in Cole or his family or anybody really. Once again, we never get a full grasp of Outworld or who or what inhabits it. It's presented as generic Evil Place 12B. Characters like Melina, Reiko, and Goro are present in name only. We honestly might as well not even include these scenes if we're not going to use our time here productively. I'm trying to imagine what it's like to watch this film if you're someone with no knowledge of Mortal Kombat. Okay, so there's this tournament that apparently matters, but we don't even get to see it. We just see people trying to murder each other before it. Why even mention the tournament then? But anyways, back to praising small things that don't matter. I like how they gave a nod to this frozen gun scene in the original. I like even more how they don't use the stupid pterodactyl hand rope thing. Also, this double arm break is perfect. Geez, Addy, any other things you want to add while you're gushing over it? Yes, actually, I like how they did enough homework to throw in Reptile's slave name. It's really hard to grasp these characters if you don't know them from the game, but it's made for the fans of the games. No, shut up. This is a lazy excuse filmmakers use when their movie flops. I didn't read the Harry Potter books or Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. I wasn't a fan by any means, but I understood everything the way that it was portrayed, and I loved the characters. Watching those properties is what made me a fan. It's made for the fans is used so much to protect bad movies that it's embarrassing. I guarantee the studios putting up the money for these films are hoping to appeal to more than just the existing fan base. Outworld is lame this time around. Don't get me wrong, if you're trying to portray a depressing alien hellscape where hope goes to die, South Australia is the perfect place to film that. But this thing where they shot in daylight and slapped on a LUT just isn't doing it for me. Sonya's scrapyard has more personality. Did I say Sonya? She's back and played by a better actress this time around. She's here to shout out expository BS for 20 seconds, but I guess that's fine.
That dragon working? It signifies that you've been chosen to fight for Earth.
Do we... Yeah, Trevor, cue up the song.
Throughout history, different cultures all over the world, they reference a great tournament. There's realms and species that we didn't even know existed.
Here's the thing. If the characters act like the plot and stakes are no big deal, why should I care as a viewer?
When Obi-Wan explains the Force, it's not half-assed. We fully dedicate the scene to it. It doesn't drag on, but it gives you time to process, to understand the importance of this world we're diving into.
What we have in this script is just a bunch of boring box checking.
Look, they spelled it wrong.
All right, Sonya is here, so by studio mandate, Kano has to be too. So we get this scene where Sonya explains that you can get a champion marking by killing the previous owner.
When Jax finally took it down, the dragon marking transferred directly onto his skin.
Right before a scene introducing Kano that explains that you can get a champion marking by killing the previous owner.
You have a marking. Actually, that's kind of a funny story.
Okay, double reinforcement, that's fine. The good news is Sonya and Kano sort of bring some personality to the movie.
Oh, by the way, you be as shit and you're almost out of it.
Again, why couldn't Sonya be the lead of this film? I don't want to act like I'm waving the girl power flag just for kicks, but it feels like they accidentally wrote her as the main character in a previous draft and then swapped her out at the last second. She's disappointed that she's not a chosen one, but she forces everyone ahead anyways because she knows what's at stake. She refuses to kill Kano and take his mark when given the chance. She has a blast seeing everything she's been researching confirmed as true. She feels unworthy herself. She gets kicked out of training, but stays with Jax and helps him. She hypes him up and also tries to keep Cole from leaving because she knows what's at stake. Every time there's a scene that almost works, Sonya is right there. Then she pulls the upset of the movie and takes on Kano, finally becoming a worthy champion. Great. Your side character that shows up 28 minutes into the film had a better journey than your lead. Okay, we need to find something to replace that. But let's rewind. The movie goes at lightning speed and cuts out everything it doesn't deem important, which is good for Cole because if this skydiving scene was extended, he'd be lying right next to Jax on the operating table.
First time?
Yeah, what gave it away?
And we start stringing plot points together like Christmas lights. Kano says he knows where Raiden's temple is.
What's Raiden's temple?
Yeah, I used to run guns through there.
Sonya says that that's where champions train.
Legend says champions used to train there for Mortal Kombat.
Kano explains how I feel watching this so far.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And we're off. The whole thing feels like it only exists to cut together a movie trailer. We have exposition, quotable lines, and impressive visuals that don't really shine when you actually see them in context. This is where Cole starts becoming increasingly overshadowed, so don't fret if I forget to talk about him. He's around. Anyway, this whole sequence begs the question, why didn't Raiden come and get them? For someone who's the protector of Earthrealm, he sure treats it like a 9-to-5 job that he's fed up with. It's not even treated as a test for the fighters. It's just like he doesn't care enough to go look for them. I complained in the 95 version that they should have made it clear who is selecting these fighters to represent Earthrealm. I still don't know who's doing it here, but it definitely isn't Raiden. There's no mentor energy, no ancient wisdom. It doesn't even come off like negative reinforcement. He just thinks it's hopeless, but hasn't even gone full Luke Skywalker and protest yet. Can someone run the numbers because Raiden is definitely on Shang Tsung's payroll? So we're in Raiden's crib and get the Asgard Bolt treatment. We see the Great Kung Lao, Goro, Shao Kahn, Katana, the opening scene. Raiden discusses how important this tournament is. Yet we're less than a month out and he's just now putting together the group text. We establish that he can teleport anyone to any place on Earth, so you'd assume he could help out a bit more. Maybe it has roaming charges? All right, I need to refill my wine if I'm going to keep talking about Raiden. Adam, tag in for 30 seconds.
Hey guys, Adam here tagging in for 30 seconds. So you know how a movie will place characters with opposite viewpoints or goals into the same scene, and then have them go back and forth as each tries to convince the other to get what they want or come to some sort of mutual understanding? And like how that leads to an interesting viewing experience for the audience? Here's a scene that illustrates how this movie handles that.
Topaz, there's nothing for you here, only death. Well, I'm willing to die for my family. Let's see if you have what it takes.
So Cole asks Raiden for help. Raiden says no. Cole says please. Raiden says okay. And we're off to the next scene. There's nothing interesting or deep that helps in building a base level of understanding between the two characters. No stakes, no tension, just a drive-through order to get us to the next scene. It's fucking boring. This is not a scene, this is someone thumbing through the script trying to find where the next punch gets thrown. That's a problem with 80% of the scenes in this film.
Well, I'm willing to die for my family.
Oh, good. No worries.
Did I mention I hate Raiden? He comes off like that jerk-off in your company that's worked there for 20 years, so he thinks he knows everything despite not being open to any criticism or new ideas. Plus, he steals from the fridge and his Secret Santa gifts suck. Anyways, this whole chosen champion aspect is weird. It kind of comes off like an ambiguous fate thing, but then also kind of doesn't. There's a prophecy, sure, but also you can just murder someone and boom, instant chosen one status like it's a reward program. It leads to stupid Reddit board questions like, what if Kano got killed by a drunk driver? Would the driver become a champion? Does a doctor get it if he botches surgery? Sorry, we lost him on the table. Welcome to Mortal Kombat. Or if a dog mauls a champion, is he now the goodest of boys and also Earth's only hope? It's just a weird thing thrown in so that Cole can feel like he has a reason for being in the movie. It's established that Kano got his marking after he killed the previous guy with it. But if you're killed by someone from Outworld, the mark just ceases to exist? Does it transfer to a newborn baby somewhere in the world? Or does it just transfer to the next best option, like the too deep on a depth chart? Unlike Jax and Kano, Cole has had it forever, so that's odd. It's a small thing in theory, but it gets confusing when you place such a big importance on it. Maybe the writers could have added a worthiness aspect to it. Like if you killed a champion, the marking would only transfer to you if it deemed you worthy or pure of heart. Kinda like Thor's hammer. That's where Kano's intro could have been interesting. He killed a previous champion, but it doesn't see him as worthy, because he's an ass. So when Sonya kills him at the end, it feels like a triumphant moment on multiple levels. Because she actually is worthy. I don't know, you'd have to rewrite a bunch of other stuff and the whole thing would have been solved easier by removing it entirely. On that note, we have... Can I complain about Arcana for a second? So apparently champions can unlock special powers by accessing their Arcana.
Your inner power comes from your Arcana, a gift from the marking of the dragon. Without it, defeating Outworld will be impossible.
What in the midichlorians is this guy talking about? Of all the things that can make MK more accessible to a wider audience, you go with explaining how these fighters have their abilities? Really? In a time where no one cares about explanations for how characters have weird powers? These things didn't need explanation. Jax has metal arms because he does. Sub-Zero shoots ice because he can. Though I would have loved to have sat in on the script meeting where they decided that Kung Lao's spinning razor head is apparently Arcana. Arcana is basically the mutant gene, and you never fully know what random BS you're gonna get. So all this riveting stuff is going on, and then Cole has to stand here and act like he doesn't know how to unlock his own Arcana.
Lou, how do I find my Arcana?
It must come from your soul. Whatever it is that drives you.
It's your family, Cole. The writers gave you literally nothing else. Whatever, the Kano 12-step hero experiment is over, and everyone from Team Outworld is here to invade. We have Hook Guy, Hammerman, Teeth Girl, and Dragon Lady. I'm not using their names because they barely register in this upcoming fight. Seeing Goro and Sub-Zero attack Cole's family in a secluded farmhouse is incredibly lame. It's like Mortal Kombat crossing over with the strangers. Also, this jump scare noise is a half-second too late. But hey, at least we finally have flawless victory being used correctly. I'm honestly so proud I could cry. So Cole unlocks his Arcana, which is some sort of armor that allows him to absorb damage and redirect it, which is perfect given how much he's gotten his ass kicked so far. Raiden does teleportation musical chairs, and we get a bunch of one-on-one fights.
It's kind of fun to see some new locations and R-rated fatalities that don't have much weight.
It's not awful, but nothing is all that engaging. I don't know how Cole knows the name of Melina or Cabal since he's never actually briefed on anything.
Lou and I will take Melina and Cabal.
I don't mean this as a critique, it's just either a fun screw-up or shows how other scenes were deleted elsewhere. So Jack's Arcana kicks in, which functions as a Windows update for his arms. And defeating someone over the classic pit level without using the stage fatality is an absolute 0 out of 10. So what are the lasting effects of all this? In short, Shang Tsung basically helps Earthrealm. Jax and Cole get their Arcana and are now full-fledged champions. Kano gets sourced out, Outworld loses a ton of its own fighters, and we get rid of Kung Lao, who's lame and boring. Just straight W's across the board. But here's the answer to the film's biggest question. Why does Cole exist as a character? The answer is, so that we can somehow tie Scorpion back into the plot. Sub-Zero has abducted Cole's family back to his place of employment, so Cole gets to revert to his comfort zone of getting his ass kicked in a UFC ring. His family looks deader than Jack Dawson, but apparently they're fine. It's not important. The thing to focus on here is that we finally have the first crowd cheering moment of the film.
over here.
This is where the budget went. If you want to have a Mortal Kombat movie, this should be your floor when designing a fight sequence. Even the editing gets better. The movie's too far gone at this point, but props for getting this one scene right. Even if we have to watch Cole awkwardly punching ice in the background. Look, I'll take a good story over good action 9 times out of 10. But when you're making a movie about Mortal Kombat, you really need better fights than what's shown in this film. There are great fight sequences all over the median that are thrilling, creative, brutal, and leave lasting impressions. So this whole thing just feels like a cop-out. No one is saying it's easy to pull off a good fight scene, but when you're making a movie centered around it, there's really no excuse. Serviceable doesn't cut it. Look at your cast lineup here. Max Huang was a member of the Jackie Chan stunt team. Louis Tan is a professional kickboxer and Muay Thai fighter. Joe Taslim is a 3-time medalist for the Indonesian judo team and apparently had to be told to slow down because his moves were too fast for the camera. Half this cast has stunts or martial arts experience, and when you incorporate all of this together and your fight scenes are boring, there's a problem. As I said earlier, fight editing is just as important and needs to flow. It can't be a crutch to just a bad choreography. So Scorpion pulls out the toasty fatality, and unlike the 95 film, he's not missing this time. Down goes Sub-Zero. Also, Raiden is here.
Move this man!
I thought you said you couldn't get involved.
The rules are hazy, Cole. When you binge these, you start to see that the Elder God rules of Mortal Kombat can be summed up with LOL YOLO.
Everything's made up and the points don't matter.
And because this movie hates me on a personal level, Raiden now says he'll assemble a new list of champions.
I'll assemble a new list of champions. You must find them.
So you do choose them, but they have to find them? Raiden, give up your boomer tenure and retire. You're literally worthless. Looks like we're waiting until the sequel to get to the tournament, but we've already done some damage here. How are we supposed to take the tournament seriously in the next film if we've already shown that the rules don't matter? What if Earthrealm loses? Can we just say screw it? We're not accepting the results? Spoilers, but that's basically what Outworld does later. Speaking of Outworld, what did they get out of this? Raiden treats the death of Kung Lao like he's swapping out an empty roll of toilet paper. It's not like Earthrealm is down a champion going into the tournament. Maybe they have a slightly less prepared one? I guess that's a win that warrants half your team being killed. Not that any of them are portrayed well. For you Cabal fans out there, were you satisfied with his appearance? This entire lineup feels like they were written in the script as random back characters and then filled in at a later time. This angry guy with a hammer is supposed to be Raiko. He's the general of Outworld and a tactical and military genius. 10 out of 10 portrayal there, guys. There's so much to work with here that we're not even trying to utilize. It's like we've been given the first pitch of the World Series and we're just chucking it straight into the head of the Make-A-Wish kid. The entire film reeks up, we don't want to take a chance on this because we don't fully believe in the concept. And as a fan, it's just sad to see. So far, our biggest threat in defending ourselves is Raiden, whereas our biggest saving grace is that Shang Tsung is a moron. I don't know, this whole thing just feels like a half-hour special that's designed to lead into a real movie. Kind of like The Journey Begins, but not quite as awful. If anyone else watched that as a kid and wants to file a class action lawsuit, slide into my DMs. And it concerns me, because like the Mortal Kombat tournament itself, we only get a chance at a movie every decade or so. And when we fail, the audience says, oh yeah, MK is still that brainless dumb fighting thing. The movie studios get scared, and we have to wait a decade to get another chance to try again. The sequel will be out soon, and I would love to create a video response saying that they pulled it off, but I'm skeptical. I don't think Mortal Kombat is destined to be mid. There's so much potential for world building and characters with more lore behind them than some Shakespearean characters. We just need someone who understands the source material and is given a budget. So, as I wrap up here, let's remember that Mortal Kombat is actually deep in meaning and really an in-depth metaphor for how humanity needs to. Oh crap, I forgot to talk about Annihilation again.